I was waiting for it.
We're waiting for what? What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just looking up some churro recipes in this obvious cookbook here. I don't know what it is you're getting at, G. Anyways,
I almost thought I should grab mine maybe, but then I knew you would have yours, and then there would be just two people like with their faces covered looking at the Necronomicon and just no introduction at all.
one of these days we need to do like the gag where two people pretend to be the other person, and then you have a fog machine in a book, and I'm like, I'm G. I love the original Evil Dead movie.
I'm Chris. I love Army of Darkness. Just kidding. I won't get. We discussed Army of Darkness enough when we were on Evil Dead Italia last week.
I feel like you guys bring it up every single episode at this point.
It's just fun to poke fun at you. But anyways, we have a really cool guest joining us today. Welcome to Hail to the Deadites. We forgot to introduce the show. We have a really cool guest joining us today who is very well known within the Evil Dead fan community. He makes your chainsaws. He makes your daggers. Welcome to the show, Brett's Groovy Chainsaws.
Woo!
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the real book from Evil Dead 1 for recipes. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I was a little preoccupied with it. How you guys doing?
No worries.
We're
good.
Right.
Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
It's nice to be here. And Hamilton, thank you for finally showing up. Appreciate that.
I don't know what you're talking
thanks
about.
For being patient. G's got to be very patient to deal with your lateness, man.
I don't hold it against him. He's got stuff going on. I'm just over prepared.
I'll give you a little backstory of his lateness. Okay, so
oh boy, here we go. For those who don't realize this, Brett and I actually know each other.
Yes,
we know each other for years. Just to
and I can explain how we met and everything because it was just such a love story.
Yeah,
but his lateness, we were staying. It was what's that con in Chicago?
Flashback weekend.
Flashback. So we were staying in the room with Chris Pollock, and Chris Pollock comes up to me. He's like, "Man, I don't know how that guy gets ready for the day. It looks like Mary Kay blew up in the bathroom." Because he takes a lot of pride in getting himself ready and takes the time and does his makeup. Like, not like makeup, but like his cosplay makeup.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Chris was given Hamilton. So it was always Chris and there was Hamilton. A lot of crap that weekend, but it was a lot of fun. We played a lot of hijinks on other Evil Dead fans that weekend.
Oh, yes, we did. I got to find that video. I should have had that prepared because you were part of that. There was a situation where we had quite a few shimps and pink Fs hanging out one night in the hotel room, and we were split amongst two different hotel rooms. So one half went to bed early, the other half we were up till dawn basically.
Right.
And we decided to play a prank on our buddies in the other room because they had left a bunch of trash behind from partying. So we got all the cans and the bottles and the bags, and I had a key to both rooms. So we went to the other room, very quietly opened it, and planted all the trash bags filled with cans and bottles spread throughout their hotel room, and then closed the door and then ran back to our hotel room. It was pretty funny.
The funny part was I asked Ryan the next day. Ryan Lewis was in the other room. And I was like, "Hey, how was your morning?" And he's like, "It was pretty good until I tripped over a bunch of trash going to the bathroom." And then Vinny was sleeping in the closet, like always. He just likes to sleep in closets, apparently. It's been a common thing every year. So
good times, good times.
But I'll tell you how we met real quick. 2019. It was flashback weekend. And it's me and a bunch of other Evil Dead fans walking through. We're going to lobby. It's Friday night. And then here's Hamilton dressed up as Ash. Of course, it's got to be dressed up as Ash. And he's just sitting on his phone, sitting on a couch. And I just look over at him and I'm like, "Hey." And he's like, "Hey." And then we're just buddies ever since.
Pretty sure I heard one of you guys yell out Hamilton. I was just like, who's calling my name? Like,
it might have been me. I don't know.
Might have been. It was either you or Pollock. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Pollock didn't know you yet.
Pollock reminded me that he technically knew me way before. Because
Oh, okay.
I forgot that I had met him when I was in line to get an autograph from Bruce back in 2015. But yeah, 2019 was my formal introduction to you guys and various people from the KOS page and whatnot.
Right. Well, I'll
Cool.
let you guys get on with the questions in the show. I'll just.
Yeah, thanks for taking
Yeah.
over, Brett.
No,
I
my,
know,
my
right?
first
No.
question was going to be like, Chris knows what you do. I know what you do. Would you like to describe for our listeners maybe who you are and what you do within the Evil Dead community?
Okay, so I started out on YouTube with a YouTube page called, or a YouTube channel called Brett's Groovy Chainsaws. So there was just one day that I'm like, I really want the chainsaw. I've been a fan of it for years, since I was a kid. It started out with Army of Darkness. Sorry, Chris. But it started out with Army of Darkness. That's the first one I saw. And I went with my dad to a video store and I saw the cover, dude with a chainsaw hand. You got to watch it. And then I found out when I was in high school what Evil Dead 2 was. A couple friends of mine, they were twins, and their mom owned a video store. And they're like, there's a sequel or a prequel to that. And I learned about Evil Dead 2 because I'm like, man, it'd be cool if there was a movie about the cabin and the chainsaw and stuff. So it just went from there. But so I started back to the original question, the YouTube channel. I wanted to make a video on how to make chainsaws. Because at the time, Nick Valenza, shout out to him, great builder. He had like a 9 to 11 minute video, and it really didn't describe much. So I made, I think, 9 or 11 part video on how to make them, and I was going to end it there, but then a good friend of mine, Al Biardi, reached out to me. That's how I met him. He's like, no, you can't quit. You got to make more videos. And so I made more videos and proven my product and making them better and more accurate. And met a lot of people along the way. Chris Pollock, he kept me going to do, make the chainsaws better. And so then all of a sudden, everybody's like, hey, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh, cool. But I did that. Then I did the daggers and then started sculpting books. And then anything really Evil Dead that I'm interested in, I'm going to put my hand in there and do the research and make anything and show people how to do it rather than spend thousands of dollars to get a replica that may not be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it yourself and make it perfect. That's my goal, is just to spread the knowledge of like, hey, this is how they did it. This is the best way to make it fit your hand. Let's say you have a ginormous hand, it's like a catcher's mitt. How can you make it look right and have the room for yourself, for your hand and weight and everything? So
cool. So how did you get into prop making? Like, were you like Backyard Zombie did like stuff for like theater stuff? I know you cameoed in his Evil Dead special, which is very funny. But yeah, how did you get into like prop making? Like, did you have any training beforehand, or did you make stuff before you got into Evil Dead? I would love to know that backstory.
To be
Thanks
honest,
for taking my question, G.
I'm sorry.
Well, to be honest with you, I never had any formal artistic training. I worked on art since basically the time I could pick up a pencil. I'm ambidextrous, so I can sculpt with both hands with different things. So I don't have to constantly rotate and use my right or use my left. I can do both at the same time. But ever since I was born, or since I was a kid, I was always doing artistic stuff. I was always sculpting and always want to learn about new products with sculpting. I did give it up in high school for a little bit because it's like, yeah, being an artist isn't cool. So, I did the whole jock thing for a while and got back into it. But what happened was I saw the chainsaws that were being made. And I'm like, instead of spending this money, I can just do it myself. And throughout the years, I just improved and improved and just improved more, find out the exact home lights that were used, like all the way down to the bolts used for the each chainsaw, the different sizes, because they're all different.
Wow.
So no, I never had any kind of training, never went to school for it other than just did it during high school and grade school and middle school.
Super cool.
Yeah, and you're super freaking talented, man. Like, obviously, I've seen
Thanks.
a lot of your work in person and whatnot, and it's like you swear that it was lifted straight off the set for a lot of the
Well,
stuff.
speaking of that, I actually had a conversation with Tom Sullivan. You guys know Tom Sullivan.
Yeah.
Tom
Um,
Sullivan? Who's
I
that
wonder
guy?
who that guy is. So we were talking the other night, and actually had a conversation with him last night. And I was like, "Hey, let me show you my Evil Dead 1 book if you haven't seen it." And I literally took a bunch of screenshots, and a friend of mine, Al, actually had a screenshot of the back, which is hard to find,
Hmm.
and recreated his original Evil Dead 1 book. Because if you don't know, or some people may know, the one he sold later was a sculpt he did later on. It wasn't the original.
Mm.
So the one he sold wasn't the original. And the original one was made from the facial prosthetics from Scotty
Hmm.
and a bunch of latex just kind of thrown on there. And so every little piece in this is on screen, everything. And here's what the back originally looked like. That Tom
Before it
sold
got
it.
the ear.
No, the ears came in the DVDs. That's when they started.
Oh, so that's the secret, because I know there was a lot of back and forth between people about like where the ear came from. So in the original movie, because like you said, it was hard to find a screenshot of the back of the book. Because like I don't even remember seeing too much the back of the
Right.
book. Like there wasn't an ear. Huh?
Yeah, there was no ear. Tom told me on my old Facebook account that came from him doing the DVDs,
Oh
the
wow.
latex DVD covers. So Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2 doesn't have an ear. Army of Darkness, I really haven't studied that one that much, so I really can't say. And he didn't do that cover. And the only ear that is official in Evil Dead is the one from Ash versus Evil Dead, because that one does
Okay.
have an ear.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, this is the size. It's very small, but that's the original size. And Al Biardi actually put the pages into here. He actually recreated them with the thick stock and everything.
That's awesome.
So yeah, he did a really, really good job. And they're all in order, everything. Only thing I have to do is put a latex handprint in here. Because if you rewatch Evil Dead 1, it has a latex handprint in there. And I actually talked to Tom about that last night. I was like, whose handprint is in that book? He's like, well, I had a handprint of Sam's, but he was coming down some stairs or something. He got all mangled up. Latex sticks to itself. So he put his own handprint in it.
Mm,
So it's the Tom Sullivan handprint.
that's a cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
And then I talked to him about daggers and stuff like that. And the one thing he didn't know about was the product called Milliput. And Milliput is more of a Canadian UK product, and it's really good for sculpting. It doesn't shrink. You can do action figures with it. And that's all I usually sculpt with because it's so easy to use. Because his original dagger was made out of cellulose, it's basically like paper mache. That's why it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
But I built one. This is my second one, but I wanted to build one that was more accurate. I do have a lineage Tom Sullivan dagger from Evil Dead 2.
Now,
But
real
it
quick, for
was
those who don't know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you explain what lineage means? Because there's a lot of people don't know what that phrase means.
it's it's directly from the movie or something like that. Say you got something from Hellraiser and it's a lineage piece. Say it's not the same piece, but they made a mold of it and it comes from that mold. Or that piece was
Okay.
remolded and it's a new mold, but it's got lineage. It's direct descended to the movie or whatever. So I have that, and it's over there, but I'm not going to pull that up because I don't know if Tom wants me to show it off. But
Hmm.
I decided to make one that didn't have all the fill-ins for making a mold. So all the chicken bones and everything on this one, they all match to size and length and width. The kit bones, same thing. I did put the teeth back on here because the teeth broke off like a million times. So I had to figure out what teeth were what. The rib cage, you name it. And the coolest thing is the blade. Like everybody knows the Trick or Treat Studios one, and it's 27 inches long. this one's only, the original length is only 24. So, or no, 20, might be 23. So the one I have that was Tom's, from here down was busted off. And it was just kind of fixed together to make a mold of it. So I had to find the photos of the original OG Evil Dead 2 that was made from the Evil Dead 1 and recreate the bottom. So what I did is I had to scale what I knew from here because I knew this was all lineage. I sculpted all this, but it's exactly like the one Tom did. And Tom calls this a Deadite Kandarian tail. It's not like a backbone. Everybody thought it was a spine, but it's a Deadite tail. So I had to recreate all this to size and scale it. So I would take, I'd measure all this stuff out and look at the photos and look at the difference from here to like, say, like a piece down here and figure out all that measurement. So a lot of math with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one doesn't have all the fill-ins with it. But this one is like, if Annie picked it up, you would see that. And one thing that a lot of people don't know, and you'll see even on the Trick or Treat Studios when they have a different bone up here. And I had to resculpt this because it's actually like a cartilage piece off a piece of chicken. And you can't boil that because if you boil it, it just falls apart. So you have to actually sculpt it in. And I did sculpt that one in there to match up with what Tom did originally. But yeah, Ryan Lewis, he wants that one bad. He's like, man, no, that thing's so rad.
What's it like talking to the person that like made these props that you recreated? Like, I think that would be such like a cool sort of relationship to have, where it's like, here's this like exact replica of something you made like in 1979.
Tom's pretty cool about it. Tom, when I showed him the book, and I was like, how close is it? Tell me how close. And he goes, it's really close. So he actually wants a latex, version of it. So I'm going to send him a latex version of it. So he's going to put it up in his house.
Wow.
That's cool. How cool is that to have the guy that originally created all these props enjoy your recreation so much that he wants you to send a recreation that you did of his work?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. I've talked to a few people from Evil Dead and stuff like that throughout the years, but nobody from the new stuff, of course. But I'm just haven't reached out. I do plan on making an Evil Dead Rise book because I do like that book.
It's really cool with the teeth on it.
Book. Yeah.
Yeah. Rubberworks, they did a great job with it, but I just want to, I'm picky, Chris. There's like the veins off
you
of it.
Picky? No, I've never seen you be picky. I've never had discussions with you being picky about stuff. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at Vinny in Chicago and he's like, I got the gloves from the Power Glove. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. It's missing the stitching here. He's like, oh. But no, yeah, I've talked to a few people, but the thing is with like the veins, everybody gets wrong. If they look closely, they're almost like a line of beads in spots. Like they have little sections, and everybody misses that or just doesn't want to deal with it. But I really want that book. But like I said, I'm picky. I think I can just do it myself. I'm not putting down anybody else's work, but I'm always like, I'll do it.
You want things to be beyond as accurate as possible, and like that's totally understandable. Like that's a preference, you know. Some people, they want complete total accuracy. So others are just like, I'm fine if it's like a little off and whatnot. So like I totally get that.
Yeah. Well, it's like right here we have my personal Ash vs. Evil Dead chainsaw right here.
Beautiful.
And I'll tell you a cool story here in a bit about Ash vs. Evil Dead, but all the bolts are matching, everything matches up. All the measurements, you name it. It's wearable.
It's heavy.
No. Chris's are heavy because he makes those out of steel. I make mine lightweight. But yeah, the clamps, everything. I actually, Rob, who did the parts for, and I think, 6 chainsaws for Ash vs. Evil Dead, he's the one who sent me the link to get these. And he sent me a bunch of extra parts and stuff that he wasn't going to use. So I had extra grills and everything, and caps and whatnot. And so I did a last line of selling chainsaws, and I was like, hey, I guarantee you're going to have parts from that were on the mold used for Ash vs. Evil Dead. So I did that for a lot of people. I'd rather them have it than me just have a whole box of stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we've seen a chainsaw, we've seen a dagger. What other Evil Dead props do you make?
Well, you've seen a book. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, the book too.
I have a lot of stuff. I've given a lot of stuff away. I'm gonna lie. Within the last day, I've given a lot of stuff away. My Ash vs. Evil Dead Necronomicon, I gave that one away. I gave it to Ryan Lewis because he has a big collection. But something else cool here. I didn't originally build this, but I revamped it. Is
Nice.
Now, Roger Allen Baker from Ultravec Studios, he originally, this was his first one he ever did. And he had,
okay.
You know Roger.
Yeah, no. I was like trying to remember if like that's the one that I saw when we were hanging out at the con.
No,
Like
I never brought this one down.
Okay. Because I know like all of you guys have power gloves and whatnot.
Of course we gotta have power gloves, man. So Roger Allen Baker, this was his first one, and he didn't have everything up to specs at the time, but he ended up working on some of the power gloves from the show after the auction. He's recreated them. He knows all the parts. He's worked on the original gauntlet, and the original gauntlet was metal, all metal. He's worked on that. He's done so much. He knows every little aspect of the power glove. But after I got it, and after a few years, like he had another design of this piece up here. I changed that to fit. Changed this one to fit. This clamp is actually from, it's a 3D print from the scan from the one used.
Okay, that's cool.
And the glove kind of matches, not quite. He did put the season 3 stuff on the inside, but if you notice, like from season 1 to season 3 in Ash vs. Evil Dead, season 1 had no inner palm pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, I can't quite remember right now, but season 3 definitely did. And in season 3, the finger pieces changed. They went from this taped look, that's the season 1 look, to more of like you have the pieces and then it has this band that's just like screwed into the sides. That's what mostly everybody does, but I prefer the tape look. And with the tape look, you have to be very specific. You got to remember where it originated. It was made in New Zealand. So everything is different from here in the United States. Everything is standard. So if you get some 3/4 inch gray tape, well, it's not the right size because that's American standard. They have a 1/2 inch tape. Can't use that. So what I had to do is take the tape. I bought the 3/4 inch tape, actually drew a line on it and cut it so it fit the exact size that was on Ash's power glove. So yeah, still lights up and all that stuff. But I've kind of retired from wearing it.
So you're not going to put it on for us?
No, it's a pain in the butt. It's not easy. It's not easy because like season 3, the gloves were like all latex, all rubber. And he had one like that was like built like this. There was only like one, maybe two. But yeah, the pain in the butt to put this on is this right here, this bolt system. Yeah, you want somebody to be there with you to put it on. It's not the easiest. But yeah, he did it right. This all does detach. Like this pops off and you can pull that off. And it's a 2-part glove, so you can have the gauntlet with a chainsaw if you want to. And I don't know, at my age now, I really don't cosplay anymore. You know, I do got a good story for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one time I did dress up as Ash, it was a Halloween party. And I wasn't planning on going. I just want some photos. I had the power glove on, right? And it's before I revamped it. So I went to the gas station and I'm dressed up as Ash. And I met a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, we're around the block of so-and-so's house, right? I'm like, cool. So I went over there and one guy there, older gentleman, I knew him for a long time. His daughter was there. She was drunk, and he was there. And there was this guy really working her pretty hard, hitting on her, drunk and stuff. Well, about an hour later, she's passed out in a chair, like in a recliner. And he runs up. This other drunk guy runs up and starts like pulling on her, and like her hips flopping back and forth. I'm wearing the power glove. I grab him and I smack him as hard as I can across his face with the power glove. Just boom. And then he kind of shook it off, and I backhanded him with it again. And then he walked off, and he's like, "That ain't cool, man." I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's like, you don't mess with people when they're drunk like that. Yeah. He stopped after that. But at least I got to say I got to do something cool like Ash with the power glove.
Yeah. Ash Williams would approve.
Yeah.
I did break something on it, but I fixed it later. But yeah.
I was gonna ask, did it break at all?
It was the original, like the only thing broke was this original piece, but I replaced it with a real one. Yeah, he made like a bendable one, but yeah, I smacked the crap out of that guy with that thing. All bloodied up, dressed as Ash. It was good.
I'll cheers to that good Samaritan work.
So, yeah, and I told Roger the next day about it. He's like, "You know what? I would be mad, but with what you told me and you did, yeah, okay." So yeah, it worked out. And also, I forgot to show this off. So I made a dagger that's Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, and Ash vs. Evil Dead. And this was for the series last year, the Rest in Peace Season 1.
Oh.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a little bit of custom. I added a little more jagged on the back, like Evil Dead 1.
Mm-hmm.
Added more teeth. A little bit of a custom look, but it has down here, it grows into the serpent head.
Yeah.
From Ash vs. Evil Dead. Has the blade from Evil Dead 1. Actually has engraved writing, Sumerian writing that Tom did on the weapons page in the book. And the Evil Dead 2 dagger growing into it.
That's really cool.
That's really, really cool.
I think that might be my favorite design I've seen.
Oh, man.
To be honest.
Yeah, it was crazy when I came up with this. Ryan Lewis, I talk to him all the time. And he's like, I was like, "Hey, man, I was thinking about making a dagger where it's like all three of them together." And this is all sculpted on milliput other than the chicken bones and the kits. So I hand sculpted all of this stuff.
Wow.
Damn, that's good.
All by one photo. I just used a photo from each side and made it happen. But yeah, he's like, "Oh, man, I was having some dreams about that dagger." And so he told me what he dreamt, and I told him what I was thinking, and then came up with this. He's like, "Man, you got to add a lot of teeth. Got to add some teeth." And I'm
sorry, I'm cracking up because that is a perfect impression of Ryan.
Well, and he goes, "Yeah," he's like, "That's rad." I sent him updated photos. That's rad. But we are filming in June. We're doing an Evil Dead fan film in June. It's right now on YouTube. I'm doing the Rest in Peace series, and it leads up to that one because last year we had the Rest in Peace series Season 1, and it led up to the Evil Dead Unleashed movie, the two-parter. But this next one's going to be called The Knights, so there's going to be a lot of new characters. Some people are coming back, and it's just been insane. So I've been building a lot of props for that. We have a new book in the movie, not the same books that you've seen. And when you see it, I can't show you, but when you see it, you're going to go, "Oh, I know what that is." Just because it's gross. And it's really, really gross. But there's a reason why it looks gross. And it will actually fight in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it fights. My character from the Rest in Peace is in there, but it's not my story. It's more about the Knights of Samaria and trying to stop the evil and all that stuff. It's pretty interesting. We do have a scene that I wrote called Old Corn, and it's going to be probably the grossest thing that you'll ever see. I literally.
Idea.
Yeah. Oh, what's your idea? Okay, throw it out there.
I'm not gonna say. I'm just saying, like, just by the name, like and you saying it's gross, I kind of have a feeling where it might be going.
Yeah, I want the audience to smell the scene. It's that
Oh
bad.
no.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody who like we have a messenger deal of the cast and stuff, and they all have their scripts, and they all said, "I just want to be in the background watching that happen." Because it's that bad.
Oh boy.
And
gosh.
shout out to Rufus Williams. He's coming in. He's coming back in from last season, and he does a lot of lighting, and he gets grossed out pretty quick. Big Evil Dead fan. We had that pooping scene last year in the show we called Unleashed, where the guy who played his name was Jordan. He comes in and he goes, "I think for my scene, my Deadite needs to poop his pants." I'm like, why? He's like, "Just trust me." So I got some chocolate and some crushed tomatoes, like a can of crushed tomatoes. And he put a funnel down the front of his shorts. And Rufus was working the camera, and he had his gimbal out and was working the camera. And just the sound of it hitting the ground, as soon as I said cut, Rufus just goes, "Mm-mm, nope." So I made this scene purposely just to gross him out.
Terrible.
That's good.
Yes, exactly.
No, it's cool you're making custom props for it. One of my questions actually was like if you got a call from like Raimi Productions or Ghost House being like, do you want to make like the dagger and the Necronomicon for Sebastian
yes.
Vanacek's Evil Dead movie? Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you would do
me
new
just
stuff for Evil Dead or if
scratch
you're
out
just
all my
happy
questions
doing
now.
replicas or whatever. But
Oh, yes, of course I would. I wouldn't be one of those people who go, "Well, I could do it, but, I'm not one of those guys." Like, even with the video game and other things, I've already said, "Hey, you can use my stuff. It's fine. I don't mind." But, if you want a custom piece kind of thing. And, we can talk about the video game here in a minute, too.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you know where I'm going with this, Chris?
I think I do.
Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, I'd have no problem with it. If they were like, "Hey, can you make a dagger?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I can make a dagger." And I've actually, this one right here for this next shoot, I've actually made 2 other stunt versions of it. Like one made out of foam clay, so it's super lightweight. And this is the hero version, so it's hard and heavy. And then another one for a stab gag, which is sculpted the same way, same stuff used, except just all foam clay and just the kits, and it stabs into you and it sits right here, so it's super lightweight. So of course they want to be, okay, chainsaws. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, hold on. All right, so I came up with an idea, and this coincides with the game. What if they had a season 4? Ash's chainsaw was destroyed. What would happen? He has to have a new chainsaw back, right? So I came up with an idea of what if he had a chainsaw that, they're vintage, they're not ancient, but has the power of the dagger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he cuts into a deadite, he doesn't get all bloody. It's basically like Blade hitting him with a sword, turns into dust. So I came up with the post-apocalyptic chainsaw. And this is what it looks like. And this is a lot of people's favorites. So it has Sumerian writing on here, engraved into the blade. Has some scratches from breakage, but that's engraved as well. And I brought back all the aspects of all the other ones, and even has a price tag I built on the bottom, $109.95. And to be honest, when these came out, the original sale price was $109.95, which was the price of the Boomstick and Army of Darkness, because I know Chris knew that's his favorite movie. But anywho, so one thing I did bring back, a lot of people don't know, is in Evil Dead 2, there was an actual hinge on the front. And Sam removed it. And you remember the scene in the workshed where he flops it down. Well, I did that with this one. And I'll show you. It's basically one bolt. You can pop it off. You can open it up. And it's got the insides.
That's so
Which is
cool.
dope.
Yeah, everything's pretty much original to a point, but I did put some new aspects in it because it was, newer, post-apocalyptic. The original kit inside of the workshed scene in Evil Dead 2, if I remember right, it was like a tank kit, like you build a tank. and they call it kit bashing. So that's what was in there. And I remember talking to Pollock about it. He's like, "That's a tank kit right there." I'm like, "Yeah, the round part's a wheel and all that stuff." I'm just getting Hamilton all night. But the cool thing is, you just put that one bolt back on, just even hand tight, and it holds on everything. And it's wearable. So it has the hand room, and it has the look inside. So you can get my old hand in here. You can actually wear it. Take this bolt off. Open it up. Which, as far as I know, I'm the only one who's ever done that.
I think so too, yeah.
A lot of geometry in it. But yeah, it's just a custom piece. And then this still works as well. Full
Love
cord.
that.
But yeah, no, I did that just in case. But going into the video game with that, I get a call from California a few years ago, and they wanted me to sell it. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep it around. And then the video game comes out. Everybody's messaging me, dude, your chainsaw's in the game. I'm like, what? No. And so people were sending me screenshots, and I could see how it is, but not officially. The legendary chainsaw on the game has the gray tape, has the, I built this like 2 or 3 years before, has the hoses coming through, all that stuff, and a custom look. So everybody's like, yeah, we're just going to say it's yours. And I'm like, well, until I get an official thing, but, but they did take the lenses.
Yeah. So like a lot of us definitely believe that someone that worked on the game, whether it's someone from Boss Team or someone from Saber, someone definitely took inspiration from some fan-made chainsaws. Because if like Brett said, if you look at because how like there's the normal, the rare, epic, legendary tiers for weapons.
Right.
Any Evil Dead fan worth their chainsaw gas knows that there's 2 types of chainsaws: the flat top and the raised top. All the chainsaws in the game are flat tops except the legendary. The legendary is the raised top, and it looks really similar to Brett's post-apocalyptic chainsaw with like the tubes, and also I think it does have gray tape like yours, which is interesting because the Ash versus Evil Dead saw has black electric tape, not gray tape. So it's interesting that they chose gray tape. And then also, like you mentioned, if you look inside the art book that came with the collector's edition for Evil Dead the game, 2 of the photos of live action props where they're showing the prop and then they're showing the game model is actually Nick's work, right? It was Nick's. Like it's a chainsaw he made, and they grabbed a photo of his saw and it's in the book. And they grabbed a photo, I think, of Linda's necklace that he did as well.
Yeah.
How that ended up happening, we don't know.
All we know is as soon as Nick saw that, he's like, those sons of bitches. And it's, oh, sorry if I cut. Sorry.
No, you can.
No,
this
you're
is
fine.
a trust-friendly show. We swear on here all the time.
Yeah, you're fine.
So, yeah, as soon as he saw that, he's like, curses. And then his shop light flips on. I'm selling some chainsaws. And he did.
Which, yeah. I mean, why not be like, hey, my saw is the saw that's used for the game. Like even the actual in-game model is based off of his saw. How that ended up happening, we don't know. Maybe someone at Saber Madrid was like looking for reference photos, saw his, and was like, this is perfect, and not trying to offend anybody, but like who knows how it happened. But it happened. It's Nick's chainsaw that
Google is a hell of a thing. So
yeah, it's his chainsaw that's in the game, and it might be
also
Brett's saw that's in the steelbook. Because like
it's on steelbook too.
all the artwork for the flat top chainsaw is based off of his chainsaw that's in the game.
I'm just thinking, what about me? Where's my stuff? When am I going to go to Walmart and be surprised to see something on my steelbook?
When this episode airs, you might get some people that are like, I want a legendary chainsaw replica, and start hitting you up. So
oh no, trust me. Well, Well, actually, Peyton Sabo was doing that for a while, and I have
Oh
his
yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah.
makes them out of cardboard, and I have his. I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Now, you guys were on Evil Dead Italia.
Mhm.
Hamilton made the reference of somebody who's going to build a B&B cabin.
I said it would be a good idea. I didn't say someone actually is doing it. I said I think it'd be a good idea if someone did that.
Oh, I thought you remembered our conversation.
I do remember our conversation for the most part. You might have to give me a refresher because I remember we did discuss that.
Yep. So I'm not saying now, but in the near future, I am buying a bunch of land and I am recreating the cabin to scale. I've built almost everything else. I want to build the cabin. I want a cellar. I do want to do a B&B, but I ain't cooking for nobody. They can cook their own crap. Just saying,
No,
not doing it.
no,
But I
no
want to.
Deadite squirrel bits for breakfast.
No, they can do that themselves. But I do want to have like an experience to where like all of a sudden the cellar door starts to shake, all that stuff, or the lights outside start to move, and or like smoke machines go off, so they could stay there overnight and to get to experience all that stuff.
That would be cool.
That would be very, very cool.
Yeah, and the funny thing was convincing my wife, and she had no idea. So what I did is I drew out the plans because a big drafter architecture guy in high school, so I know how to do all that stuff, and I just never pushed into it in college because I never went to college. So I drew it out, and I'm like, "What do you think of this?" She's like, "You know what? That looks comfy. I like that layout." I was like, "What if we have a porch on the front and we have a swing?" She's like, "Oh yeah, like a regular swing." I was like, "No, one that hangs." She's like, "That sounds wonderful."
No
It's like,
I
idea.
love that.
has no clue. And I was like, "Yeah, we should have like this stationary. You can put a laptop there if you want, but we should have an opening between the living room and the kitchen right there." She's like, "Wow, that's amazing. I like that a lot." And I literally told her 2 days ago, I was like, "Oh no, yeah, I'm building the Evil Dead 2 cabin. That's what it is." She's like, "What? Okay, sure."
I mean, that's a good way to like warm her up to the idea of it instead of being
Yeah.
like, I'm building the Evil Dead 2 cabin. Be like, what do you think of this floor plan?
Does this look nice, comfy, and
Do
cozy?
you like the layout of this little cabin I'm going to build? By the way, it's from Evil Dead 2.
We're gonna put
We
a
may
deer
need some
head right
storage
here.
too. We might need some storage, so we might need to build a cellar. I'm just saying.
Little shed in the
work shed,
backyard
yeah.
Yeah.
for working on projects and stuff.
She'd be like,
That's too funny.
"Why is there some lady's head in a vice back here?" I'm like, it's part of the decor. It's fine.
Why is there a voice coming from the cellar saying, "I'll swallow your soul"?
Oh, she would know by that time. Once there's shotgun holes in the front door, she'd be like, "Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. That's my husband."
That's too funny.
Yeah.
So-
No, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. You're the guest.
Oh no, you're fine. All I was gonna say is, yeah, it's she at first with the whole Evil Dead thing, she knew I was always into it, but she didn't like it at first because it took a lot of time away from her. But then she got to know the people in the community, and she talks to them all the time. She's actually a moderator on an Evil Dead page.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yep. She likes the people. She's like, "I don't care for the movies, but yeah, I like the people. They're nice."
I mean, Dana was saying it at Bruce Fest, like Evil Dead fans are the best. Like everyone's just like super friendly and like creative and like welcoming and stuff. So like it
We
still
can be pretty
holds
cool.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Back on with your question.
yeah. So you kind of answered my final question I had for you, which was like what prop you would like to make the most, and you said the cabin. But besides the cabin, is there any other prop left that you would want to create?
That is a toughie. Man, you really got me thinking.
Mm.
Good question. I'd probably do a Delta. Got to do a Delta.
Mm.
Yeah. And the thing is, my father-in-law owns a hot rod shop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm versed in cars with doing that old stuff. My kids are now getting into it. And yeah, it's just finding one and doing it. But I do got a fun fact for you guys. Hamilton remembers this. Okay, you remember when we went to Christian Peter's house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you went there before.
How could I forget? You forced me to put on Army of Darkness stuff, and we're snapping photos of
Oh,
me and
you are so
trying
full of
to post
crap.
them online and be like,
he
"Oh, he's an Army of Darkness fan now.
Mm.
Look, evidence."
No, I turned around. He was so happy to wear that. I tell you what, he was the happiest, and he's like, "Yeah, take a photo of me." And he's like, just that scowl on his face. But anyway, so you guys got there early. I had to. Me and Roger and my wife went to this guy's museum. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want people.
Oh yeah.
And this guy, he is a professional prop grader, seller, buyer. He's on TV. He grades stuff. So we went to his house. And no kidding, walking down the stairs, he has the original plans of the flux capacitor from Back to the Future in the hallway, just going down to his basement, which blows my mind. It's there. But we go down there, and he has a bunch of Ash vs. Evil Dead stuff. He's got a boomstick, he's got a harness, he's got the outfit, and he's got the chainsaw. Now, I don't know, I think it's public knowledge now. The chainsaw he had was busted up, and I was able to actually match that to the first appearance chainsaw in Ash vs. Evil Dead, the one him and Vivian fought over.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to find that out just by how the silver was painted on the front and how the tape was changed. And here's a little fun fact. The outfit Bruce wore at the beginning of Ash vs. Evil Dead is the same outfit he wore at the end. So his blue shirt, brown pants were the exact same one from the first to the end.
Oh.
Like the very first episode to the very last episode?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And he had it there. And it was all torn up and nasty and
bloodied,
everything.
yeah. That's really cool that they did that. Huh.
Yeah, he told me that. He goes, yeah, it was the first and it was the last. And
That's
so
cool.
he hit me up later. He had a piece of the bar. And what these bars were, if you watch, especially season 2, some in season 1, but season 3, you got the thicker bars, right? Like if you look at the chainsaw, they're thicker than a regular chainsaw bar. He had half of one of those, and he had a chain, one of those rubber chains. And what they did is they stacked up these Oregon chains together and made a mold of it, is what they did. And he wanted me to make a full bar for that, which I was like, I don't know how you're going to get this fit because it's not built for that. Because the original appearance one that he had was one Bruce initially put on and goes, nope, too heavy, and took it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a problem with things being heavy. They actually built over 20 chainsaws for that TV show. And so I took a bunch of photos and I recreated that chainsaw. So it was 2 pieces of aluminum, like the same aluminum where they make road signs out of.
Yeah.
With a spacer in between, and I had to make it so it fit that chain. So I now have a piece on the original first appearance chainsaw from Ash vs. Evil Dead.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Once he actually posted it like a year later, I was like, "Thank you."
That's so cool. You're like so ingrained with the franchise in a way. It's like it's really, really cool.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You meet cool people. And like I left other Facebook pages, like other franchises like Ghostbusters and other ones, because it's just very toxic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have the whole like, hey, look what I built. And they're like, well, let me tell you a little something about what you did wrong here. And you're like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I just want to be like, hey, thank you.
Look at this cool thing I made. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who just haven't made the best stuff, but they're a fan of Evil Dead, and you want to encourage them to build more and to do more and to be happy with the people in the groups, and not to be pushed away because they're not as good as somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's like with my YouTube channel, I answer every comment except this one guy just wrote cheeseburger one day. I don't know what to say about that. But yeah, it was weird. It was like cheeseburger and maybe like Hasselhoff or something. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't answer back to that, but I'll answer everybody back. And if somebody hits me up on Messenger, I will always answer every time. Because at the end of the day, I have people that are like, "Oh, you're Brett's Groovy Chainsaws." I'm like, I'm the same as you, man. What you need? So, yeah, I try to stay humble as much as possible with everything.
I love that because like you've also within the Evil Dead community, you've helped to with other fans create kind of like a safe space, like a safe haven for like-minded, level-headed fans to come together and like discuss and share their love and enthusiasm for the franchise, such as like the Facebook pages that you're on. If you want to touch on that a little bit at all, those Facebook pages, how they got started and how you got involved.
Okay, so the first one was the Knights of Samaria. Al had the name, and he's like, "Hey, man, I want you to be a part of this." And so he's like, "You're my guy to promote this, and I'll promote you." I'm like, "Let's go." Excuse me. And so we did that, and then the format a few years back kind of changed. Back then it was like knighthood, and speaking of that, is my Knights of Samaria actual sword. Actually says Knights of Samaria on it. Ronan Franco made this for me.
Very cool.
So it's a legit sword. And he made it red and black for this, for chainsaws.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
You want one now, don't you? I'm going to pick on you the whole time, Hamilton.
I realize that.
Anyway, so the group kind of changed a little bit. It needed to be a little more self-sufficient. It got away from the friends kind of thing. So then I started with Roger Allen Baker, the Ghost Beaters page. So where we had that friendship thing, and and not saying people weren't friends, but it was less of just posting stuff versus like you post stuff and then you have meetups with friends. You get to meet them. Like we've had meetups in Chicago. I've had meetups at my house, and everybody just has a good time just hanging out. But that's how the movie thing started last year, because they're like, "Oh, instead of an episode, how about we make a movie?" I'm like, "Oh crap." And so we made a 2-part movie. But no, that's the 2 I'm on. I mean, I've been asked to be an admin on other Evil Dead ones, but I'm like, I ain't got time for that. And there's another one I'm on, Castle of Kandar. They're pretty good too. They're pretty up to date on stuff. And of course, you got the Initiative, Evil Dead Initiative, and Collectors Initiative. Sorry, but you want to hear the last thing Christian Peters told me before I left his house that day?
What?
Okay, so Christian Peters is in charge of the Initiative and a few other pages, and I said something bad about one of them. And before I left, he looks at me. He goes, "Did you have fun?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a good time." And he's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna trash me online, are you?" No. So, yeah, big shout out to Christian Peters. Good cat, like him, good guy,
massive sweetheart.
Yeah, but I do got. If you don't, I'm gonna get a little serious here for a minute about the Evil Dead community. When I started making YouTube videos, it was to fill a void in my life. I lost my brother, my older brother, and I live in Montana now, but I grew up in Missouri, and I basically drove down there to pick him up. Ended up being there for his funeral, and we were very close, and I didn't have close friends. I never had really close friends. I was always the weird one, Evil Dead fan, artist kind of guy. But that's why I quit the artist stuff to fit in high school, that kind of thing, which I don't suggest for anybody. But I needed something to fill that gap, and so I joined a band. I was playing the drums, and then it was a godsend that we did break up, and it got down to the point to where suicide came into play. And I let my wife know how I was feeling, And that's why I started doing those videos, getting back in the Evil Dead. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should, make a video about that. And that's what happened. It filled that gap, that time when I filmed it. It filled the time that I would talk to him on the phone on a nightly basis. And pushing through later, the first time I went to Chicago, there was a guy. I'm not going to say his name. I know you know him, Hamilton, but I'm not going to mention his name. I was standing in line, and he was next to me, and we just struck a conversation about Evil Dead. I'm like, yeah, meet up with us later, and I got a lot of people you can meet. I didn't know this till later that he was actually going to leave that convention and commit suicide. Like that was his last hurrah, and that was it. And me just talking to him that day helped him out of that. And I've gotten a few messages from other people. They've been in a dark place and didn't know who they could talk to or anything like that. But something that I did, or even in the groups, helped them out away from that, it makes it all worthwhile. It really does. And, I'm not trying to give myself credit, but if I would have done what I said, then they would have done what I would have done prior, suicide and stuff like that. So it's good to know that we have a group of people, especially Evil Dead community, that has each other's backs, no matter what it is. If you're having a hard time or if you want to talk, there's always somebody there. And I'm always willing to listen to anybody. So yeah, it's a great community. I mean, you have those few toxic people here and there. They pop in and they're like, hey, hold on, yeah, and you just kind of ignore them. But, it's always nice to know that we have friends here. And that's why I was very adamant about keeping close friends, building a family of people that are like-minded from different backgrounds who love the same thing. So that's always been my goal, is keep everybody close instead of just being a Facebook page to say, oh yeah, here's this, There's my serious moment there, Chris. And G.
No, very,
Yeah,
very touching and stuff.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, I'm glad you're still here with us, and
Me too.
I love you. I love you so much, man. And you definitely are one of the bright lights in this community, and you and everyone that knows you in this community, we love you and we appreciate the hard work that you and other people in our little group, the things you guys do, and it definitely does feel like a family, like you said. Like if it wasn't for getting into Evil Dead and whatnot, I would not have the amazing opportunities that I've had, such as even being a part of this show and the situations that I've been in and met the incredible people that I've met, such as yourself and you and G and everyone else in this little group in the community. I consider you guys family. So
yeah, same here. Yeah, and you really got along with my son last year, or no, 2 years ago almost.
yeah,
Like he was stuck to your side, and he
yeah.
was 18. He's like, that Chris guy, he's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, he's a nice guy. He's all
Tell him
right.
I said hey.
Oh,
Tell
I
him I
will.
said
No,
hi.
he's too cool for school. He likes to come around when he wants a free meal now. He's like, you guys going out to breakfast tomorrow? Can me and my girlfriend show up? Yeah.
That's funny.
He's good.
Still waiting on to play the game with you guys too.
They have the game. I've never played it. I've never played it.
We should set something up. Same with you, G. We haven't played the game yet. We need to.
I know.
Rectify that.
We gotta.
I'm gonna be put on like bifocals and shit and be like, why is it so dark?
Turn up the brightness.
Yeah, I can't see. Turn the lights off in here. Turn your iPads off. Why do I keep running to the same general store? Because I've seen that a lot. I've watched gameplay and they keep running to the same damn store. I'm like, why are you? No, that's when you and him were playing. I'm like, why are you guys keep going to the same damn store? I would literally run out and be like, all right, got some stuff. Yeah, I'm dead. All right, that's enough.
That's what happens to me. I am always the first one dead.
Have you ever played the one for the PlayStation 1, Hail to the King?
No, I have all of them for the original Xbox, but I've just never gotten around to booting them up.
Oh my gosh, that is horrid. That is
I have not
worst.
played, but I know of it. I know Bruce's son Andy has streamed himself playing it before, and he's threatened to stream playing it again not too long ago. But it's like, they
It's like
tried to make
it's like Resident Evil.
they tried to do a Resident Evil 1 game, but as Evil Dead, and like
Mhm.
some stuff just wasn't working properly.
Dude, the whole thing. It's like you're running down the trail, right? And then the screen changes to a different setting. So if you're pushing forward one way and then it changes the other way, you got to change it. So you
Change
just
the
run around in a
direction,
circle
yeah.
for a hot minute. Yeah. And then you have to gas up your chainsaw. I literally died like by a ghost right off the bat in the kitchen. I'm just spinning
the
around,
cabin?
waving this chainsaw around. It ain't doing anything. And I run out of gas and I die. So I watched the
Evil Dead
playthrough. It was like, that's how it ended. Yeah, Fistful of Boomstick, though, that's the best. That's my favorite.
Fistful of Boomstick is a really good one, yeah.
I've beaten that thing, I don't know, like 20 times.
That one was fun. Regeneration is pretty good, too.
I've never beaten that one.
It's worth beating. It's a fun one.
Well, I keep getting to the part where, like, after the miners, and then you have the, the chainsaw that has the
grappling hook one.
Yeah.
The harpoon, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's my old ass, like, oh, I need a break. Too much harpooning.
Well, we're coming up on an hour. So is there anything left you would like to add or share and let us know where people can find your stuff online?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, when it comes to merch, I am actually in the middle of setting up a merch shop. I'll probably go through Teespring or something like that. I'm coming up with new designs. And with that, I will post it on the Knights of Samaria, on Brett's Groovy Chainsaws and Facebook, and also the Ghost Beaters. And in June, we are filming the movie called The Knights. Find that on my YouTube channel, Brett's Groovy Chainsaws. It should come out probably early to mid-July.
Awesome. Well, we will share it like wildfire on our platforms so that everyone gets to see it and stuff.
Oh, and I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the show. This has been an amazing time. And I am sorry that I did take over, because I did take over a little bit.
I mean, you're the guest, so it's kind of your position on the show to take over, so that
it's
we
your
don't
show
just end
today,
up talking the whole time.
Would have been worse if I was just like, if you guys were like, "Hey, Brett, do you like chainsaws?" I'm like, "Yep."
That would have been hard work. You made this easy because you had like such good stories and stuff to tell. It was really awesome having you on as a guest, and you're welcome back anytime.
Oh yeah, anytime you guys want me back on, I got tons of stories, and probably 50% of them about Hamilton.
Oh boy, we don't need more stories about me.
Oh, we got good stories. I got some photos too, buddy.
We'll have to do like a Chris roast episode someday, where I'll do a supercut of every time someone mentions him loving Army of Darkness, and then it'll just be a community roast of him. Well, I'll put that in my planner to do.
And just to put this out there, Chris, I was going to make a calendar of Chris. If you remember the calendar in Chicago, remember you took a bunch of photos with somebody? You remember Chris taking a photo with somebody?
Oh no! Oh god! Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I deleted those photos. Don't worry about it. Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone from your phone, but they're still out there in the ether, the internet, and whatnot.
I think I might have one.
Yeah, I've seen
just
it pop
make
up
12
a couple
months of
times.
the same photo.
Oh no.
Okay, well let's leave it here before Chris cries himself to sleep after recording this. Thank you guys for watching Hail to the Deadites. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast. We'll have all Brett's links down in the description, so go follow his really cool stuff and check it out. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode. So thanks for watching and stay groovy.